Good morning, everyone. We'll talk about, can we build a better research culture? For those who don't know, I'm Shoudong Huang from Center for Autonomous Systems. First, I want to mention everything in this talk is my personal opinion. Initially, the title of this talk was How to Build a Better Research Culture. But later on, I realized that I don't really know how, so I changed the title into Can we build a better research culture? There are many researchers are more senior than me, and they probably have a much better view on research culture. So the points I make in this talk, some of them may be biased or maybe even incorrect. So if you disagree with some point, simply interrupt me. My real hope is we can all frequently and openly discuss this important topic. It's not easy to give a good talk using Zoom. I can't really see whether you like the talk or not. So I have decided to increase the level of interactions. So what I will do, I will ask many very easy questions during the talk. And if you don't answer, then I know you're not listening. Not only I know you're not listening, everyone knows you're not listening. So you're expected to answer yes or no by clicking the participants in Zoom. You will see this window, and then just click yes or no to answer the question. So let's have a practice. Go to Zoom, manage participant, click yes, no. So first question. Do you think listening to my talk today is wasting your time? Clicking yes or no. So those who clicking yes, you can probably leave the room now. Those who didn't answer, I know you're not listening. Also, I have given a CAS talk in 2019. And my second question is, do you remember anything in my CAS talk in 2019? Click yes or no. And if yes, write what you remember in chat. Okay, someone has remembered something. Yes. Good. One thing I have talked about in the CAS talk last year is I talk about different level of talks. First level, which is best level, is the talk can change people's mind or change people's life. The second level is everyone can remember at least one point in the talk. Clearly, my CAS talk didn't reach this level. The last level is the speaker doesn't know what he's talking about. Last week, Raphael gave a CAS talk. Do you remember anything in Raphael's CAS talk? This is what I remember. He said he learned a lot from the preparation of the talk. Here I want to say I'm the one who proposed the idea of postdoc CAS talk. Probably Herney has asked many postdocs to prepare for CAS talk. And I know some of you may have hated Herney. We are so busy that you ask us to give a talk. So now I want to tell you, you don't need to hate Herney, just hate me. In another word, I have given Raphael a headache already. However, I want to say one thing to all the postdocs who will give the CAS talk. Please try your best to use the CAS talk to demonstrate you are good. And if you give a good talk, you are the one who will benefit the most from the talk. Other people will benefit, but you are the one who will benefit the most. And one condition for good talk is finishing on time. Finishing on time. Similarly, if you give a bad talk, then people will suffer, but you are the one who will suffer the most. This is probably the first important point I want to make today. If you give a good talk, then you are the one who will benefit the most from the talk. Teresa gave a talk in May. Do you remember anything in Teresa's talk? This is what I remember. What is the most valuable thing in your life? And there are big list of values, and they are all good things. But you're asked to choose only two. Teresa has chosen adventure and collaboration. And I replied the email saying, I have chosen love and peace. Definitely different people give different choices, but I have chosen love and peace. Because love and peace are so important in my life, I want to spend a few minutes to talk about them. There are sayings said at least 50% of marriages end in divorce. Do you agree or not? Please click yes or no in Zoom. At least 50% of marriages end in divorce. Click yes or no. Actually, I don't know the answer. And I also don't really care about your answer, but I just want to know who is not listening. Okay, roughly 10 people didn't listen. Definitely this answer depends on countries. Probably in Australia is 30 to 40%. But one thing I want to tell you is there's a group who has been studying science of love for 45 years. They come up with a mathematical model that can be used to predict divorce with 90% accuracy. So if you look at the book title, you can see what they're talking about. The 7 principles of making marriage work. Why marriages succeed or fail, and how you can make yours last. One thing I noticed that those books have more than 1,600 citations. So they must be good ones, because my best paper is just cited 400 citations. So those books should be better than my slam work. So I tend to believe them. I really encourage everyone to spend 30 minutes to watch this TED Talk, because if you watch this video, it may save you many hours. One thing I want to mention in this talk is talking about the dynamic of a stable marriage. So this figure shows the state of wife and husband. And the positive side means happy, wife is happy, husband happy. This one means wife is unhappy, husband is happy. This one means both wife and husband are unhappy. So when the couples having a conversation, it was starting from one state. Can be here, can be here, can be here, can be here. And when the conversation goes on, the state of the couple keep changing, right? It can move from one quadrant to another quadrant. For stable and happy marriage, doesn't matter where the conversation starts. Gradually, it will end up with both positive quadrant, means both wife and husband are happy. So initially, maybe both of them are unhappy, and then after the conversation, they become happier. On the other side, the marriage tend to lead to divorce. Most cases end up with both unhappy quadrant. So for stable and happy marriage, there's an attractor, attract the state to this both positive quadrant. So this is a summary of Professor Gottman's TED Talk. Great friendship and love relationship result in greater health, greater wealth, greater resilience, fast recovery from illness, greater longevity, and more successful children. And the magic of love requires calm, trust, and commitment. So my conclusion from this video is simply doing a lot of housework may not result in a good love relationship. But how to positively influence your partner's emotion is critical. So are you able to positively influence your partner's emotion? That's critical. About peace or peace of mind, I want to talk about finite game and infinite game, because an infinite game mindset helps me to maintain a peace of mind. I think I have sent this link to CAS people, and some of the CAS people have watched this video. I know, for example, Jaime, Felix. Many of you may not. So what's the meaning? Finite game and infinite game. So the first book about this is from CAS James. And the definition is like a finite game is played for the purpose of winning. An infinite game is for the purpose of continuing the play. Many of the games we are playing are finite games. But there are some games that are infinite games. Some example given by Simon is like education, love, business, life. For example, education, we can't say we win an education, but the education continue. For love, we can't say we win a love. We want to see whether love continue or not. So the difference between finite game and infinite game player is an infinite game player doesn't focus on comparison with others, but focus on advancement. Not playing for win, but playing for continuing the play. I have an example as well. I play football, and before I was playing finite game. I want to win. Now I'm playing infinite game. If I don't get injured, I'm happy because I can continue the play. Finite game is for the purpose of winning, infinite game for the purpose of continuing the play. So this is the second point I want to make today. Research is an infinite game. You can't say I win the research because research is keep going. It has been there for a long time and will still be there for many, many years. We do have some finite game related to research. For example, submitting a paper is a finite game. Can be accepted, can be rejected. Applying for ARC grant is finite game. Applying for promotion is finite game. In general, playing finite game sometimes can be painful because you can't always keep winning. But playing infinite game gave you a peace of mind. I want to make it clear that infinite players sometimes also play finite games, but they don't take winning or losing too seriously. Recently, I have some students who got some paper rejected. I want to tell them, submitting paper is a finite game. You don't need to take it too seriously. Liang gave a talk as well. Do you remember anything? This is what I have remembered. He said, it is our responsibility to keep the CAS culture. I agree with this. And that is the motivation of my talk today. Is the CAS culture good enough? Can we improve it? How to improve it? What can I do to keep the CAS culture or improve the CAS culture? First, what is research culture? I searched from Google, I got this, but I don't really understand it. The title of my talk is, Can we build a better research culture? And I don't know what is research culture. So this reminds you the 5th level of talk I mentioned. The speaker doesn't know what he's talking about. So I assume you won't expect too much from my talk today. However, I have my definition of research culture, and my definition is research culture is what you feel when you do research. What you feel when you do research. Do you feel motivated? Do you feel being cared? Do you feel happy, frustrated, or feel something wrong? Before talking about too much details about this, I first want to mention how to demotivate a research student. I want to use an example, which is my master degree supervisor. He has passed away already. He's passed away more than 20 years ago. I hope he doesn't mind. I talk about him here because that might be helpful to others. So my master degree supervisor was the head of department. He got the top students because he's a professor and head of department. But one of his master students once pointed out an error in his book. And he said, "How dare you say my book is wrong?" Another student, when he graduated, he wanted to study a PhD at another university. Our university, our department can't offer PhD at that time. And the supervisor said, "Stay here. You will have better future if you keep working with me." At those days, if your supervisor or the head of department don't allow you to go somewhere else, it's almost impossible to go to different university. So that student stayed. At that time, we all felt something wrong. And I'm highly demotivated. I didn't publish any paper with him. I spent most of the time playing, looking for girlfriend. I think I mentioned this in my 2010 CAS talk. Another example is actually about my supervisor in Hong Kong. Anyone heard of ICQ? It's a kind of messenger at that time. So it can basically tells you whether you're available, whether you can talk to people, and so on. At that time, none of us have a mobile phone, and I was supervising, okay, this ICQ is good. Then we can communicate anytime. Then we all installed ICQ. Every evening, he can see whether we are in the office or not. Because after 5 minutes, we are not touching the computer, it will display like we are away. And after 20 minutes, it says unavailable. Interestingly, one of his PhD students got a girlfriend at that time, and the girlfriend is in Shenzhen, and he went to Shenzhen every weekend. He doesn't want the supervisor to know. He changed the setting. His ICQ always display away, never display not available. But later on, the supervisor finds out. So what's wrong here? We feel something not quite right. What's wrong here? Recently, I found out that the 5 levels of leadership help us to understand what's wrong. The 5 levels of leadership by John Maxwell, basically saying there are 5 levels of leadership. The bottom of the first level is position level. People follow you because they have to. You have the right. The second level is permission level. And people follow you because they want to. And then another level, production level, people development level, and pinnacle level. I don't want to talk too much details about 5 levels, but I want to clarify something first. When we talk about level 2, it means not only permission, but permission plus position. Means it has a position and also has a permission. And level 3 means position plus permission plus production. And another thing I want to clarify is for different people, even for the same leader, they can be at different level. For example, I have different PhD students. I can be a level 1 to one student. It can be another level 2 for a different student. Because I treat them differently and they treat me differently. So the question to you now is, what is your supervisor's leadership level? Don't write it down. Don't write it down. Just think about it. This is a link to the talk by John Maxwell. He talked about the 5 levels of leadership. It's pretty long, more than 1 hour. But he explains things very clearly, gave many good examples, and he speaks very slowly. So for those who want to learn English as well as leadership, this is what I recommend you to listen to. This is my interpretation of the 5 levels of leadership. I watched the video 2-3 times, and this is some kind of summary I have. Level 1, I would say, is a bad leader. It can yell at you and only cares about himself. You don't trust him. He manipulates you. On the other hand, a good leader, or level 2 leader, listens to you, cares about you, and you trust. And level 3 leader is capable. He can grow you. Level 4 and 5 leader also trains you to be a good leader and help you to train others to be good leaders. So you can see the difference between a bad leader and a good leader. Trust or don't trust. Manipulates you or grows you. So I actually have a question which I really don't have an answer. For example, shall a leader care more about his people or care more about his KPI, key performance indicator? I don't know, but this is something to think about. Shall a leader care more about his people or care more about his KPI? Someone may say, you're talking about leaders. I'm not a leader. I'm just a student, so very not academic stuff, right? Yeah, of course. Those higher level people are leaders. But there are different definitions of leader. And my definition is a leader is a person who can influence someone. If you can influence someone, then you are a leader. And I realized that I'm a leader because when Stragic talked about how his PhD started in his CA3 presentation, he mentioned that he sent me an email asking, do you have any project for me to work with? I say, okay, come to have a chat. Then later on, we give him some project to work on, and we find out he's good. Then we help him to get the scholarship and then become a PhD student. And he has done very well with Teresa as the principal supervisor, and I'm his co-supervisor. He recently published a TRO paper, top journal in robotics. When he mentioned the story in his CA3 presentation, I realized that I have become an important person in Cedric's life. In another word, I have influenced Cedric. So I'm a leader. Using this definition, all the academic staff members are leaders because they lead project teams or supervise PhD students. And all the postdocs are leaders because they lead PhD students. All the senior PhD students are leaders because they influence junior research students. And all the junior research students are leaders as well because they can influence the supervisor and others. Even if you haven't started your PhD, you are a leader because you can influence people around you. In fact, everyone is a leader. At least you can lead yourself. You can lead yourself to become a better you. So the question is, which level of leadership do you want to be at? If you're convinced you are a leader, please write down, I'm a leader. And also if you want to be a level 2 or level 3 or level 4 leader, just say, I want to be a level 4 leader in chat. I'm a leader, I want to be a level leader. I'm a leader, I want to be a level 4 leader. Now come back to our topic. Can we build a better research culture? And my answer is yes. As long as we haven't reached the pinnacle level, we can build a better research culture. We need to keep asking ourselves the questions. Do we care about our team members? Do we trust each other? Have we all made significant contribution to our organization? Have we trained leaders? Have the leaders we trained started to train leaders? So we still have room to improve, and we can build a better research culture. How to build a better research culture? I said I don't really know, but I still want to give my 2 cents. My 2 cents suggestion to you is, for each of you, don't rely on others. Start by changing yourself. First, understand you are a leader and also know you can influence others, and start to talk about the 5 levels of leadership realize that you can be a better leader and you lead yourself first, start to build trust with people around you and start to train leaders. I have started to make some changes by giving this talk. I also have a suggestion to supervisors. My suggestion is to organize a meeting with your team members or students and let them openly talk about your blind area. Blind area means something you don't know about you, but they know. For example, they may say sometimes you don't listen and you think others are as clever as you are, but they're not. So let them openly talk about your blind area. We know that students do talk about their supervisors, sometimes privately, sometimes in public. For example, in my 2010 CAS Talk, I talk about my ANU supervisor. In my 2019 CAS Talk, I talk about my supervisor at ANU, Matthew James, and also Disa here at UTS. And today in my talk, I talk about my supervisor, master degree supervisor, as well my supervisor in Hong Kong. So we do talk about supervisors and sometimes even in public. So why not ask them to talk in front of you? Just imagine if my master supervisor had organized such meetings 30 years ago, then the student can talk to him freely, saying, for example, it really hurts when you say, how dare you say my book is wrong. Actually, I spent many hours checking whether I'm wrong or not before I point out the mistake. Can we sit together to check whether I'm wrong or the book is wrong? If the master supervisor can organize such a meeting, then the research culture will be improved. And then I might be motivated to conduct some good research a few years earlier. Who knows? So for those who don't know, this blind area is talking about everything about me. It's called Johari Window of communication. So everything about me can be divided into 4 parts. Open area means I know, you know. Hidden area is I know, you don't know, my secret. And blind area is I don't know, but you know. And unknown area is I don't know, you don't know. And this blind area is something we want to find out. You can only find it out from others. So this is my suggestion. Organize a meeting with your student or team members. Talk about your blind area. And I can imagine there are 3 possibilities. One is they tell you a lot about your blind area. If that's the case, congratulations, because you can get the chance to improve. But also possible, they don't tell you anything about your blind area. They will say, you are perfect, nothing wrong. And what does that mean? That actually means you have a big blind area. Why? Because they don't trust you. You don't have the trust from your team members. The third possibility is you think it's unnecessary to organize a meeting. In this case, I would say you have a huge blind area because you didn't realize you have a blind area. So I want to say I will have such a meeting next Wednesday, the same time, the same room ID with my group. So if you want to come to talk about my blind area, you're welcome. Same room ID, same time. I will see what happens. So in summary, if you give a good talk, you are the one who benefit the most from it. Research is an infinite game. Although publishing paper is a finite game, applying for research grant is a finite game, but research itself is an infinite game. There are 5 levels of leaderships, and everyone is a leader. What's the next step? I hope this talk is the starting point of our ongoing discussion on building a better research culture. I'm happy to change the title of the talk into Building a Better Research Culture Part 1. And someone else will continue and give a talk. Building a Better Research Culture Part 2. If there's no volunteer to continue the talk, I will give another talk. And I'm hoping someone will talk Part 3. Why is that? Because it's our responsibility to build a better research culture. And this is my final question. Do you think it's useful to continue this kind of talks? Click yes or no in Zoom. Your answer will help us to decide whether it's worth doing this kind of thing or not. Click yes or no in Zoom. Let's see what the result we have. Is that useful to continue this kind of talk or not? Thank you.